Kevin Pasternak. I'm the National Sales Manager for Prophesy Software. We are a division of Excelos Corporation, and I'll be presenting to you today the Excelos One Optimized solution and going through that with you. Before we get going through the actual solution, I would like to give you a background on Excelos, a little bit of a corporate overview for those of you not familiar with the company. We are a global provider of logistics software, supply chain management software. The company was founded about 4 years ago, headquartered in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We currently have divisions located in the GTA, Plymouth, right outside of Detroit, Columbus, Ohio. I am in our Bloomfield, Connecticut office, and 2 weeks ago we acquired another transport management software company that also is located in the Greater Toronto area called Virtual Dispatch. About 3,500 enterprise customers, and you can certainly visit us on the web at www.excelos.com. Acquisitions that Excelos has made is obviously Prophesy, Freight Logics, which is a TL, transportation management software company, and also used in large volume brokerage operations. Radio Beacon, a warehouse management. Maximum Data, which is a data collection product that seamlessly integrates to the Dynamics accounting product, and the 3PL and vSync, which are EDI division. Customers in 17 countries throughout the globe. Like I said, there's about 200 plus employees, and we continue to grow both organically and through acquisition. We like to think we're large enough to be stable, but certainly small enough to be personal. Some customers that you may be familiar with, Organic Valley, Gold Medal Flour, Ocean Garden, Samuel Adams Beer Company out of the Boston area that are currently using the Excelos One Optimized product. One I'd like to just take a minute to talk about today is Piglet of North Carolina. And about a year and a half ago, Piglet went out looking for a optimization and routing program. They do a private fleet of around 75 to 80 vehicles to streamline their delivery operation to their stores, running routes, and they had trucks that were crossing each other's patterns, etc. They went with a number of solutions. They ultimately chose the Excelos One Optimized as their solution, and we saw a dramatic reduction in miles, reduction in equipment required, and you can learn more about that right on our website, mile.com,
There we go.
Customer successes. Talk about Excelos One Optimized. And Excelos Optimize is designed to integrate with your existing ERP, WMS system, TS system, or you can manually just key orders into the Excelos One Optimize, or you can spreadsheet and upload that spreadsheet into the program. So it's extremely flexible. We have specific business rules, constraints. We'll talk about those a little bit more, and apply those, and then we will create full truckloads, multi-stop truckloads. There's where if you want to leave some commodity off and ship them LTL, if you do ship LTL, where you can do that as well. Most customers realize a savings of anywhere from 10 to 20% reduction in overall transportation costs. You can ship from one or more distribution center. In fact, today you can also manage inbound shipments. We recently added the ability to do multi-pick, multi-drop scenarios. Different algorithms that you can actually apply. One would be to minimize miles, max utilization, or doing rate in the program and both LTA rating as well as truckload rating. And you want a carrier selection, you can do what's called least cost loading, where we'll order or shipment and based on cost make a decision, is it ship this LTL or is it make shipment a part of a multi-stop truckload. Some rules and constraints that we will look at: appointment times, load times, unload times, fixed, both variable fleet sizes. Even if you set operation, we can certainly look at your fleet. If that operation or you don't have assets of your own, you use all outside carriers, we will get a fictitious fleet. If you do a combination of both, well, we can certainly handle that as well. Direction of the product, and decide, is it better to zone things or not zone load build. We can use multiple units to build on, and they're user definable. And we, our first load building product back in 1989, it was actually a PC-based system as well. Developed a product for a company called Advo Systems out of Windsor, Connecticut, that was in the direct mail or in the mail shipping business. And back then, overnight to run a system that it now takes minutes to build. And those were very rigid, those systems, as far as how many units you could build on or what the units were. And today, you can basically define anything. If you want to build on weights, pieces, with anything, you can define what the dimensions are within the truck capacity that you're hauling. We can deal with detailed commodity information, and of course, the loads that we do build are going to adhere to DOT regulations. The system can be used in a local, regional, as well as over-the-road operation. As I talked about, it can be private fleets, it can be used in dedicated fleets, it can be for outside carriers, it can be in a combination of all three. And we can provide, if you choose commercial, turn-by-turn directions to your drivers. This one, Optimize, has been developed for the last 2.5 years. It was a total rewrite of a localization program we had called Shipper Plus. It is our technology, browser-based application, Microsoft Bing mapping you'll see in the program, Microsoft .NET framework, SQL Server database. And as we go through the product today, you'll notice that it does have the look and feel of Microsoft Office 2007 or 2010 for that matter. As here, it can be used as a standalone product, or it can be fully integrated ERP, your WMS, your entry system, or standalone. You can manually key orders in, or they can be uploaded, as I said, from a spreadsheet. It'll run on internet, multilingual within the program, and once again, the importing of data as well as is extremely straightforward and system and easy to do. Just some industries that we've done work in: food, beverage, horticultural, commodities, steel, aluminum, tires, agricultural, fuel, building suppliers. Limited to those, but certainly those are some ones that we're currently working in. So let's take a look at the product itself.
Want it now? I told you can have it now.
Knows that if you're on a live, I haven't muted anything. So if you have conversations in the background, if you could do me a favor and just mute your phone, that would be wonderful. We're gonna go through the Axelis One Optimize on a relatively high level today. Certainly, like more information or like a person on-one demonstration, we can arrange that and look at your specific needs, and that's where we will certainly go into much more detail in the program, a lot of the background. Today, what I'm going to do is we're going to look at orders that have been entered into the system, and those orders we're going to combine into shipments. And the difference between an order and a shipment is if you have multiple orders in the system that are going to the same destination and similar delivery time window requirement, we consolidate those orders together to ensure that they go on the same truck. And then shipments, and we'll turn shipments into either a full truckload, a multi-stop truckload, or depending on how you're using the program, it could end up going as an LTL shipment. We'll typically go into the rating in the program today. You'll see fields that talk about rating both LTL as well as truckload. But if you are interested in rating, if you have any questions at the end, we can certainly talk about it, or to schedule, as I said, a personal demonstration on the product, we can certainly arrange that and go into much more detail on the rating. What we're looking at here are orders, and the orders that we're going to work with today are all orders coming out of our Chicago or our Midwest DC. Let's look at one order, and what I did is I just double-clicked order 006 and see the order details. Now, fields are not filled in on this particular order, I didn't bring in all of the information and populate every field, but you should have a real idea of the order that we can take in. You've got order number. You've got either an earliest pick time when the order can be picked, a latest stop time when it has to be delivered, or you could have a specific appointment time. Location. In this case, it's coming out of our Chicago distribution center. Where's this particular one is going to Ace Hardware Supply in Albany, New York. There. We can have time windows. Time windows can be specific to a location, or you can use default time windows. And once again, the system is extremely flexible in setting up those time windows. In any purchase order information or PO or destination PO information or bill to information, we can do that as well. As far as goods or commodities that you're hauling, on the order we're working with today, I didn't bring in any specific goods ID, but what I brought in is just some basic information about the order. And then you see that this particular order, 006, weight of 10,000 pounds, has 800 cube pallets, and there's no cases on here. This is an order in the system. The rating engine, we could have did this on import, both LTL as well as load. We could have, depending on how we set our tariffs up, it can look for least cost, or it can look for preferred carrier in a specific lane. For rating, you can certainly set up LTL rates in the system, or we have information available to SMC, Southern Motor Carriers, to add the tariffs that they have. So whether there's a light tariff or any of the hundreds of other tariffs that SMC maintains, you can test those tariffs. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do our first level of consolidation. So we're going to consolidate orders into shipments. So I'm going to work with my orders out of the Midwest DC. As far as dates, I'm going to ignore my dates just because of my sample data. And in consolidation options, I'm going to tell the system to adhere to what I've done in my system as my default truck fleet, which has capacities of approximately 42,000 pounds, 20 some odd skids, X number of cases. Shipments that are already made, I'm telling it to only make new shipments. System to use a 15-minute unload time per shipment. I'm not going to be concerned, as I talked about, with rating, so let's go ahead and consolidate now. And what the system did is it found there were 39 orders out of our distribution center in Chicago. It converted those 39 orders down into 24 shipments. So there were multiple orders in the system that were going to the same location that had similar delivery window requirements, so they got consolidated together. So we know that these are our shipments in the system. Let's go ahead and take a look at shipment here. We can see shipment going to Dover, Delaware. We can see 4 orders on this particular shipment. So click, it will jump into the shipment screen. Similar to the order detail screen that we looked at just a couple minutes ago. We need shipment ID instead of an order ID. We can see our earliest pick, our late drop, which came obviously from our orders that got consolidated. Obviously, we're all coming out of the same distribution center in Chicago, going to the same location, Dover Hardware in Dover, Delaware. Under where the order information, we can see the 4 orders, order 16, 19, 18, and 17, that got consolidated on shipment. And we can see, like, one was 9,500 pounds, 300 cubes, 6 skids, 1,200 pounds, 8,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds. So 4 orders got consolidated together to make this one shipment, and now a consolidated shipment where there's 28,700 pounds, 1,125 cube, and 8 pallets. To use rating, it didn't do any rating as far as LTL or truckload. This ensures that orders are going to the same customer get put together. If you system, you already have a consolidation where you don't have multiple orders going to the same customer, but you have what we call shipments already built. You could ship the entire order process and just work with shipments, and shipments can become a full truckload, part of a multi-stop truckload, or once again, depending on how you're doing your load building, go as an LTL shipment. So what we do is we're going to take shipments. We are going to build full or multi-stop truckloads. Build loads now. And for loads, once again, out of our Chicago distribution center. As dates, I'm going to ignore dates again, once again, because of my sample data. But I could specify the specific time that these orders are available for shipment from the distribution center. Load building options, once again, we're not going to deal with rating. I could have the system automatically generate driving directions. Driving directions can come from the mileage and routing system. It can come from integration to PC Miler's web services. We also use Map2It's a commercial database for commercial turn-by-turn directions that will look at a 53102 trailer. In this, I'm telling the system to max of 10 stops per load. Don't exceed that, and that's user definable. I want one-way loads today. I could build round trip, or I could use fleet define, meaning I could have certain trucks in my fleet that are one way, and I could have some fleets that are round trip. And use, in this case, once again, a 15-minute on time. I'm just going to go ahead and click on build here, and the system is going to go out. It's going to look at those 20 shipments, which it just did. It passed 4 shipments into the load builder. It 8 optimization steps, meaning swapping shipments between different loads after it grouped them. You can initial build up with about 8,500 miles. After it did all those swaps, it reduced it down to about 6,279 miles. It built 8 loads, and all 24 shipments that we know were available were loaded onto a truckload. So, and close these are the loads that we've actually built. And if we want to just take a look at, let's say one of these loads, let's look at this load is flying in Petersburg, Virginia, and it's coming out of Chicago. In Richmond, in the morning, it's got the 15-minute unload, then to 500 Willow Street in Richmond, 15-minute unload, and then driving down to Petersburg, Virginia, where the load terminates. And you can see the different miles here. We can also see the truck, and we can see what's being delivered to each section. If we want ship detail, we can click here, and we can, if we wanted to go right to actual order, we could double click and go right into that to write down the total miles, the time, the deadhead miles, where if we were deadheading back from the final destination, if we needed to come back from the final destination directly back to the origin, it gives you information as well. We didn't use the rating, it didn't choose a carrier, and it didn't rate it. We'll close. And now take a look at the loads that were built on and now we do use the Bing mapping. We are a very big Microsoft partner. As these loads come up, you're going to see each load is going to show up on the map, the Bing Maps. And scroll here a little bit, and go ahead and select the next load, 1055. So you can now see 2 on there. And if I take my cursor and hover over the push pin, the information about what's going to that stop, where this is this order is going to Fredericksburg Supply, Fredericksburg, Virginia. You can see it's order number 20 being dropped, 4,900 pounds, 600 cube, and 2 skids. As you can see, this is a full truckload, 40,000 pounds, going right to Albany. And the original ones, let's uncheck those now. And if we want to, we could put each location on here and add them one at a time. So you see here, and you look at the information on the map, you actually see. We can see out of Chicago going up to New Franken, Wisconsin, and the final 61, which is coming over to Kansas City, Missouri, before that St. Joseph's, Missouri. The one that I do want to look at within the program is what we call our traffic manager. Manager is used for minute changes, for additions, for deletions, for moving items between one and the other load. Because most people don't use a black box type load building solution where you just take, those 39 orders, dump them into a solution, let it hit a button and let it go ahead and build the shipments. Now let it build the loads and just, okay, boom, here results out on a report. Most do want to be able to view these loads and see them on a map as we looked at them today. They also would like to be changes and moves from one load probably to another load. So let's say, since we wanted to take this order number 34 and we take it off of load 156 and move it on to 1057. Well, we have a couple choices. We could either click and just pull it off and just drop it on the bottom, and then the system will automatically go ahead and resynchronize 106. And then take this order, and it just got pulled off because it wasn't ready to go. We wanted to leave it. We were going to use it with our next data that came in and put it onto another truck later on, or move it onto another truck here. So if I want to take 34 and drag it up, put it onto and I can just drop it on load 1057. The system asks me, do I want to manually insert this order, or do I want to have them automatically insert it? And I'm just going to have the system automatically go ahead and look and see where it should go. And it automatically made it the first stop on load 107. So you manage the shipments that are on loads. You can take shipments off. You can leave them off. You could add them later. Actually see over here, I've got a number of additional orders that are still in my system. These can be coming from different distribution centers. But if I had some additional orders that were in here, even from my Chicago distribution center, at this point, if I wanted to go ahead and add those to a load, I could do that. A number of standard reports that are in the system. We have a load detail report. Take a look at just for a single load instead of for all of the loads. And I'll just do that a little bit bigger so you can see it there. See that this is telling us our load number, our origin, where we're coming from, when we're going to depart, our final destination, the total miles, weight, and cube that's on the load, and then each of the stops on the load. Chicago, going to the Bagash Company in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and then at the New Franken Company in New Franken, Wisconsin. We have a summary report. We'll look at the same load in a summary rather than detail. As you can see, we're just not seeing as much detail about each of those stops, about what's going. It's just a summary report. Report writer that's built into the program, so if you do want to write custom reports, you can write those yourself, and they would write to the application. Build your loads. What do you want to do with that? Do you want to export it to your WS for picking purposes? Well, we have integration that can be done. Currently with the Excelos One WMS, the product is seamlessly integrated to that, so the orders would go right back to WMS and they could be picked. If you have a WMS, we can certainly integrate to that. We can also just export loads in an Excel spreadsheet format, which you can use for whatever purposes you'd like to use those for. A couple of things that we've talked about. ROI. With this, we can get you up, get you running in an extremely quick period of time. You're talking, days, not weeks or months that it takes people to get up and running on other products, and you will savings of 10 to 20%. That's what our customers see today. One I talk a lot about was what-if scenarios. When you're building loads, it's difficult to build loads and then move things around and rebuild them and then take something off and add something to it, like to the traffic manager, where with One Optimize, you can easily do your what-if scenarios, break down, rebuild, break down, rebuild. If you're maybe some sample data for somebody, for a new customer you're looking at, or looking at adding some new locations that you're delivering to, and you just want to do some quick what-ifs, those are very easy to do. And your business rules, we have incredible flexibility with how business, so you can easily work those things into the program. I'd like to open it up to any questions that anybody may have on may have covered, or maybe something that I didn't talk about today that you have a question on. Question, please.
Question on a question on integrating it with our own database. How does it work? Do we have to export a file, or is it automatic, or how does that all break down?
If there's import utility in the program, and you can manually import data on a batch basis, or that can be set up through integration to automatically look for orders at specific intervals and then bring information in automatically.
Okay.
It's something we can work with you on that either way, in your particular situation.
Kevin, if a location requires a specific type of equipment to make a delivery, can the system handle that?
It's a very good question. If let's say you might be running, whether it's a strip-like location where you have to get in there with a 26-foot pup, or maybe it's a strip truck versus a 53-foot trailer, you can set up equipment codes in the system. In addition to that, customers some are running refrigerated versus dry, and you can use equipment codes and other codes in the system to make sure that if something needs to be a refrigerated truck, it doesn't get put onto my truck. But absolutely, equipment can be used a number of different ways in the system. It's a very good question. Sorry I didn't talk about that in the presentation.
No problem.
You're welcome. Questions? Well, I certainly would like to thank all of you for attending today's presentation. Excelos One Optimize. If you'd like to learn more about the product, in one presentation, go much more in detail into the product and talk about your specific needs, you can contact me directly, or many of you may have talked to Eric Smith or Sean Meacham out of our Colorado office. I'm sure that they will be following up with you as well. My contact information, as you see, is right there. You can contact me, and we can schedule a one presentation for you. Once again, thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure presenting the Excelos One Optimize for you today. Have a great day, everybody.